It's time for a horror story that's scarier than spooky clowns, Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein's monster combined. Oh yes, folks. We're talking about the national debt. Okay, so the national debt might not keep you up at night, but maybe it should. Just a few days ago, reports showed that even with the supposedly fiscally responsible Republican leadership running things in Washington, our national deficit, i.e. spending money we don't have, for 2017 grew to a demonic-sounding 666. That's $666 billion. And this is just the latest plot twist in DC's decades-long reckless spending horror story. And as evil as that last number may seem, that massive deficit is just feeding our $20 trillion national debt monster, with can-kicking beltway politicians serving as its minions, slowly making it bigger and stronger over time with reckless spending, and in the case of the GOP, empty campaign promises. You know, most of the villains in horror movies are pretty scary, but they can only go after a few people at a time. But if our debt monster keeps growing, it's going to enslave us and our children to a future of high taxes or eventually national poverty, economic panic, despair, and chaos. Still not scared? Okay, here's how the numbers break down. First off, the Congressional Budget Office projected last year that in a decade, the cost of our national debt would include $6,600 from every household just in interest payments, and that's just to keep our collective heads above water. It gets worse when you look at the almost $18,000 that each worker will have to shell out for Social Security payments at that time. And with the GOP moving forward with a tax-cutting plan that doesn't really cut any major spending right now, those old numbers are just going to get terrifyingly bigger over time. And as the interest payments go up, they start sucking federal funds away from really important things like infrastructure and defense spending. Then just think about the taxes that you're gonna have to pay when the bill comes due, because the bill always comes due. And if that doesn't happen, that's when we get to something that's called hyperinflation. Right now, the federal government is figuratively burning through your money to keep the overpriced lights on up here. If hyperinflation ever happens, you'll literally be burning it just to keep your house warm. But while these things may eventually jump out and surprise us like a movie monster, they shouldn't be able to. This isn't a secret, and it really should never be a surprise. The proof has been written on the wall for a long time.
Red rum.
Okay, no, not like that. I'm talking about the debt clock. I mean, just look at it. This demonic debt monster has been ticking away for years, and the number just keeps getting bigger regardless of who's in power. And as the monster gets stronger, the problem gets bigger, especially as it keeps feeding on other people's money. And before you say it couldn't happen here, keep in mind how many countries have said that before. I mean, just look at the man-made disasters in Zimbabwe and Venezuela and countless other examples. They never thought the bills from their rampant government spending would come due, but they did. And that's some scary stuff, folks. But unlike a typical horror story, to take on our demonic debt, we don't need an old book, an exorcist, a famous monster hunter, and we definitely don't need to split up and check out the attic Scooby-Doo style. No, we just need some common sense. If we want to kill the debt monster before it devours us and our children, we need to get serious, stop feeding it, and start paying it off. I'm Nate Madden, and this has been your Capitol Hill Brief. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.